Hi, this is Michael Stone. I've been a member of Red Club since pretty much its inception. I've played on Party Poker as Unstoned, as Eightfold, as Tekel Ambrose, as How Was Your Week, and I'm currently going under the name Marlo Meekins. This is a project I've been thinking about doing for a while. In playing those tournaments, I've noticed a lot of the same players making the same mistakes over and over and over again. So this is an attempt to plug the leaks where people are losing a lot of chips in spots when they don't have to, and hopefully help prepare people should they ever, I don't know, win a chip to the World Series, win a chip to the upcoming event in Montreal for the WPT, or just win a chip to a bigger online tournament, win a ticket to a bigger online tournament. I've been a member of various poker training sites for, wow, probably 7 or 8 years. I've watched hundreds and hundreds of hours of training content, and it's really helped me to improve my game and to increase my winnings. So I'd like to give back to the Red Club community and pass on some of the knowledge that I've learned to the players who play regularly in those tournaments and support the program. So what we'd like to do going forward is hopefully get hand histories from players who've played in Red Club tournaments, and I will make a video of them replaying all the hands and explaining why some plays are mistakes, why some plays are losing plays, why other plays are winning plays, so that the person who submits their hand, if they study and learn from their mistakes, they can get better and be a more winning player. So to kick off the program, I've decided to go over one of my tournaments that I played a couple weeks ago on Party Poker, and I will go over my play. I'll try to be honest about the things that I did well, and as honest about the things I didn't do well. At the same time, if there are mistakes that I see my opponents making, I can comment on them now and hopefully expand on how to fix those mistakes in upcoming videos. So keep watching the Red Club site for your opportunity to have a hand history analyzed and your leaks plugged, and I hope you enjoy this. If you have any comments, you can leave them in the comment box below on YouTube. Otherwise, I think we'll get on with the video, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, this is a video replay of a tournament I played on November 1st of this year. It is the 3 o'clock Red Club Daily. If you haven't played the Red Club Dailies before, they are every weekday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They usually have between 15 and 20 players, and they are speed turbos, which means that the blinds go up every 3 minutes, I believe. So they usually only last around 4 to 5 minutes. Now, if you've played a evening Red Club tournament, you'll know that depending on the number of players entered, they could go anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. These only last about 45 minutes. They're quick, they're fun, and they are an easy way to pick up some points in the afternoon if you are not doing anything. The difference, though, is that there is really no post-flop play after about 10 to 15 minutes of the tournament. Your decisions are going to be, do I go all in, do I fold, or do I call this all in, or do I fold? Push-fold decisions, as they are commonly known. So we're going to get to see a bunch of those later on in the tournament. But I thought this would be a good way to start this program because it's a quick tournament, there's not that many hands, and yeah, that's about it. So the first thing that I do when I sit down at a table is I check out my HUD. If you don't know what a HUD is, it stands for Heads Up Display. It is the stats you see at the table. See these stats here? You can also see a stat here, a number here. Now what happens is whenever I play, I fire up my copy of Poker Tracker and I import all the hands that I play. And those hands are put into a database, and the program automatically spits out these statistics that I have for each player. Now you can see, I'll explain the HUD stats first. You can see that every player has HUD stats, except for Patronic here, and myself. My stats will show up eventually. Patronic stats do not show up yet because I've never played with this player before. And I've set up my HUD to only show stats when I have 20 or more hands on a person. If you have one hand on a person, statistics are not that helpful. You need a larger sample size. I've set it up at 20. You could even go higher than that, but that's just what I've done. As you can see, so the first stat I have on each player after their name, this is the name for @Skippy. This number here is hands. So I have 175 hands played with @Skippy. With Lina 55, I have 1,320 hands. With Eyes of Shiva, I have 5,028 hands in my database. The more hands you have on someone, the more accurate, or the better the stats of them will be. If you have 5,000 hands on someone versus if you have only 175 hands, you know that these numbers here are a greater representative of their tendencies as a poker player. Okay, the second stat I have is VP, better known as VPIP, which stands for voluntarily put in a pot. Now that means that this player, @Skippy in this case, has 44% of the time put chips in the pot voluntarily, not including the time they were in the blinds. 44% is actually a very high number. That means that they are seeing almost half the pots. Almost half the flops. You can see that Lina has 18%, 18% here, 63% there. That is an enormous. If you ever see a 63% player, that consider yourself lucky, because they are putting a lot of chips in play. The next stat we have is pre-flop raises. This means the percentage of time the player is opening the pot with a raise. The higher the number, the more aggressive the player will be, the more often they're raising. You can see that @Skippy, who sees 44% of the flops, is only raising 3% of the time. On the other side, Eyes of Shiva is seeing 26% of the flops and raising 8% of the time. Pors is seeing 18% of the flops and raising 10% of the times. This will give you a general idea of how tight or aggressive the player is, or how loose and passive the players are. We can go into those concepts later on. I just wanted to get a quick explanation of the stats. The last stat is 3-bet percentage. Now this represents the number of times when facing a raise ahead of them, this player re-raises. You can see that @Skippy never has re-raised in all the times I play with him. Lina re-raises 5% of the time. As you can see down here, it's actually 4.91%, which represents 20 times out of 407 opportunities. Pors is a 9% 3-better, which is very aggressive. Okay, so those are the HUD stats, and as they become relevant in the tournament, I will refer back to them. But I just wanted to give a quick definition of what they mean. Now these aren't the HUD stats I use when I'm at the table. Actually mine, there's a couple other rows that I use, but I haven't included those yet. These are the really basic ones that we'll be using in the beginning, and if the video series goes on and we decide we want to get more involved, then I'll show you the different HUDs, the additional HUD stats that I use. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to leave them in the comment section of the video, and I will go over that more thoroughly. Actually, I forgot. The one other stat I have displaying is the number of big blinds in each person's stack. You can see that since this is the first hand of the tournament, everyone has 150 big blinds. 3,000 chips, and the blinds will be 10 and 20. So everyone has 150 big blinds. You'll see as players win pots, as players lose pots, as the blinds go up, the number of big blinds in their stack will fluctuate. I like to use a number of big blinds in a stack because I think that the size of your stack relative to the number of blinds is an enormous factor when choosing how to play your hand. As the stacks get shallower, and they will very quickly in this tournament, I will go into that further. But as it stands, everyone has 150 big blinds. We're very deep stacked. You can do anything you want when you're deep stacked, and we'll go into the shorter stack play as it becomes relevant. So that being said, let's get into some actual hands and see what these players do. This is the first hand. As you can see, the only cards that are being shown are my cards. This is me right here. Okay, so we'll play the first hand, and I'm going to quickly go through the hands and only stop to explain things if something interesting happens. So Stone counter calls. I will fold. Steph Kadov calls, and the blind. Oh, there's a raise from the big blind. A call, and a call. 4 players will see the flop. It's a bet, a raise, and a call. That's a big bet right there. That's a full-size pot bet. AT Skippy is going to call. AT Skippy leads out on the river. Steph calls. What do we got? AT Skippy isolated the limpers with ace-10. That's fairly reasonable. And what does Steph have? Of course, he limp called a raise with 3 deuce, and sure enough, flopped the wheel. So he's off to a good start, and AT Skippy is done. His day is done quickly. Okay, the table's broke. I guess some players, some additional players registered. PartyPoker balanced the tables. So now we're playing six-handed for a bit, and that's certainly changes your play from 9-headed. And we'll see how that affects the play. First hand I get, King 8. I'll run through this here. See if anything interesting happens. Alright, that was a small pot. Jack 9, I fold to a raise from under the gun, a 6x raise. Easy does it. DD, raid 6 times the big blind from under the gun. We don't see your hand because everyone folds. But we do see her hand because she decided to show her beautiful aces. I'm actually going to go a bit faster and skip through to see if there are any hands I play or there are larger pots. So I'll probably skip a lot of the action unless it's relevant to me. We see this hand from the big blind, and we fold to a bet. Ace-4 in the small blind. Ace-4 suited, I may call this button raise, but Ace-4 offsuit, I will fold. Good thing, because we were dominated, and Easy Does It is friendly today. She's deciding, he or she, I should say, is showing her cards. I would recommend you never show your cards unless you have to. Why give someone free information when they didn't pay to see it? I used to have a habit of showing my good hands, but I've tried to cure myself of that habit, and I think it's a better strategy than showing your hands to show that you're raising with good hands. Let your opponents guess. Why give them the free information? Mr. Goosen raises 3.5x from under the gun. We'll fold our 5-6 offsuit. Jack 5 we will fold. Jack 10 we will fold. 10-3 we will fold. Jack 4 in the big blind. There's a limp on the button, which is, you will never see me limping on the button. The button is, you want to be raising on the button. First of all, because you're going to be acting last after the flop. No matter what hand you want to play, I would recommend raising the button. Raise it up with your good hands, your aces, your kings, your queens, or your steals. 5-4 suited is a good hand to raise the button with. Jack 10 suited. Queen 10. Limping the button is the ultimate show of weakness, and a good player will attack that weakness from the blinds. Now, if Easy Does It DD hadn't limped the small blind, I may have taken a stab at raising from the big blind with Jack 4 offsuit. Depending on how sticky the player who limped the button was. In this situation, I probably would have. If Spy Network had called my raise, I can bet any flop, and he has to hit the flop hard in order to call me. That's an easy way to pick up some chips from a weak player. In this case, Easy Does It limped as well, and I don't want to have to bluff. I don't like bluffing into 2 people. Sometimes I would with a hand stronger than Jack 4 offsuit. I may, but I'm happy to see a free flop here. We flop nothing. Easy does it bets. Spy network calls. Another bet. No raise here, and easy does it folds. So we assume that Spy was limping the button with a weak ace, maybe a 4-5 to make a straight. Maybe he picked up a flush draw. We don't know. Queen Jack offsuit. We will probably raise here. Oh no, I checked. Not sure I like that play. There are some schools of thought that say limping the small blind when it's unopened is a good play. Keep the pot small when you're going to be out of position. I generally like to raise, especially with a hand as good as Queen Jack, but I guess I was feeling passive right now in this spot. Maybe I was scared that Lady Madonna was sticky, wasn't going to fold to a lot of my raises, and as you can see, 46% of the time she's seeing the flop. I'm assuming Lady Madonna is a she, but if you're not Lady Madonna, I apologize. So 46% of the time she's seeing the flop, which means she's not folding to a lot of my raises, so I didn't want to bloat the pot out of position. I was going to see a free flop or a cheap flop and play post flop. So we call, she checks. We flop top pair, bet out half the pot, she folds. Easy enough. Alright, Mr. Gruesome limps. Mr. Gruesome is a fairly aggressive player. So I would think that if he had a strong hand, he would be raising this spot. I have the button. I have a medium ace. I don't like my ace, but it's an ace nonetheless. I think I'm going to isolate him here. I'd like to think that I would isolate him here, knowing that he is shown weakness by limping. I do. I raise just over 3x. Lady Madonna calls because she, as we've established, she likes to call, and Mr. Gruesome calls as well. And once I'm checked to here, with my, even if I didn't have my gut shot, which I have, I'm betting anyway. Probably going to bet about 160, 170. 40% of the pot is what I like to bet with all my bluffs as well as all my value hands. And when I say my value hands, if I have 8-9 in my hand instead of ace-9, if I flop the straight, I'm going to bet that the same as if I was bluffing. So I do. I bet 168, get 2 folds, pick up the pot. King 7, we will fold. Ace 9 could open here. It's a bit early position, even if we're only 6-handed. I do open for 2.5x. Mr. Gruesome, who has been 3-betting me a lot lately, goes in for the 3-bet. If this is a good play because he knows I'm raising a lot of hands, so I don't have to have a good hand. I'm raising anything from low suited connectors to pocket aces. So that's a wide range. So Mr. Gruesome knows I don't always have to have a good hand. So he's going to re-raise me and pick up the pot a lot of times, which he does, and I have to fold my weak ace. Okay, here's the next hand. Pocket 8's under the gun. We're certainly going to come for a raise here. I make it 121, which is 1 chip more than 2 times the big blind. A lot of people like to, when they have a hand like pocket 8s, when they think it's the best hand, they like to bomb away, raise it up to, a lot of people in these tournaments, in these Red Club daily tournaments, or Red Club tournaments in general, like to bomb away and make it 4 or 5 or 6 times the big blind. You saw earlier, Easy does it raised to 6 times the big blind, if I remember correctly, and then showed pocket aces. She didn't, it's pretty much saying she didn't want action with the pocket aces. The other thing she was saying was, I don't want to have to play a flop with pocket aces. She may have been consciously saying that, but that's what she was saying. I'm relatively confident playing post-flop, especially against this group of players. I feel like I have an edge post-flop. So all I want to do when I'm raising is min-raise. That gives me the initiative in the pot, the aggressive initiative in the pot. So when I bet post-flop, people think I have it because I've already been aggressive. And it lets me keep the pot as small as possible while I've only seen 2 cards. The more information I have, the more money I'm willing to put into the pot if I have it. But since I haven't seen all 7 cards, 2 cards plus the flop. I've only seen 2 cards. I want to put as little in as possible while keeping the aggressive initiative. I hope that's clear. If you have questions on this concept or any other ones that I talk about, please feel free to comment in the comment section below. Anyway, under the gun, I'm raising my pocket 8s. Lady Madonna calls. Everyone else folds. I take a little stab at the pot, again, about 40% of the pot, which makes it tough on Lady Madonna if she or he does not have a king, or probably a 9, or a flush draw, or a straight draw. They have to have one of those things in order to continue in the hand. Clearly, she's telling me, I do have one of those things. I have a big king, is what she's saying. And now I can easily fold my pocket 8s while putting the least amount possible into the pot post-flop to see if I have the best hand. It's an easy fold. That's okay. I took a stab. I raised a little bit pre-flop. I made a little jab on the flop. If I had raised it up to 4 or 5x pre-flop and then bombed out 60% of the pot, I'm losing a lot more chips than what I lost. I lost 250 chips in this pot. I could have lost 500 or 600 if I decided to bloat the pot more pre-flop, but I didn't, and I only lost a little bit while taking a stab. That's okay. We'll take a lot more stabs later on, and some of them will actually work. Folded around to me in the big blind with ace queen, which is fine. I don't mind. Even if the hand that strong, I don't mind getting a walk. Anytime you get free chips, no matter what you had, enjoy them. Oh, so here I am raising my queen jack suited versus Lady Madonna. Remember last time it was blind on blind. I limped with queen jack offsuit. Here I decided to raise. And again, as last time, flop top pair, take a stab, she calls. Turn a gut shot along with my top pair. Take another small stab, she calls. The river completes. She had 6-9. Gave her a straight. A couple other things. So the river is basically a blank. If she didn't already have me beat, I don't think she has me beat now. The odds are she could be calling me down with a smaller queen. I don't see many smaller queens that haven't already sucked out. So I hope I check here. I do not check. I think that's a mistake. On a board that with that many straight draws that came in, many 2-pair combos that came in, I probably would rather check call, but I do take a bet at it. She raises. I call. That's compounding things by making that second call, because of course she has the straight. Not sure what that flop call was all about. People call with ace high all the time. Ace jack, ace king, maybe you call that flop, but ace 6 is just one overcard and a runner straight draw. That is a bad flop call. The turn call, I guess, it picked up the open ender, which is fine, and of course got there in the river. So that was an unfortunate spot for me. Lost a bunch of chips, but that's okay. We know how to play a short stack. We know how to come back from this. Let's go on to the next hand. As you can see, with my running big blind counter here, I'm down to 30 big blinds. Mr. Gruesome has 71, Lady Madonna has 65, which means one double up and I'm pretty close to the chip lead of the table. We're not going to get that done with 9 deuce though. King 4 we will fold to an under the gun raise. 7-3 we will fold. King deuce under the gun we will fold. 7-8 in the big blind. Lady Madonna raises and a re-raise. That's an easy muck from here. Actually, there's a lot of action. Let's see how this plays out. So, easy does it cold calls after a raise and a re-raise. And then check folds the flop. That is a huge leak. Especially when the stack size, she starts the hand with a 27 big blind stack. She puts in 5.5 big blinds, so about 20% of her stack, only to check fold in the flop. Hoping to hit, she didn't hit, so she folds. Pocket 7s in the small blinds fold to me. Okay, I've shove. Why did I shove? For one, I think I shoved because Lady Madonna is very sticky and I wanted to put maximum pressure. I don't like the shove because there's no antes in the middle. If the blinds were 100 and 200, that would be 300 chips in the middle, which would represent about 20% of my current stack. If there is about 20% in the middle, if there's about 20% of my current stack already in the middle, and I can shove all in, that's enough for me to increase without a showdown. But there's only 150 chips in the middle, which is less than 10% of my current stack. I think that's too big of a shove. It's not a horrible play, but I think I'd rather make a standard raise and just play post-flop against a player who's going to call a lot. Anyway, I shove, she folds, and I pick up the free chips. Not the worst result in the world, but I think I could have done better than that. That was a bit of a scared shove. Alright, folding the Queen 6 offsuit. Folding the Ace 6 from under the gun +1. With my stack size, I don't want to be in there stealing. If I had 5,000 chips, I would raise every time here, but I only have 1,787 chips. I want to wait for better spots than Ace 6 offsuit. 6-4 under the gun. Ace 3 offsuit in the big blind. And I get the walk. That's nice. Easy does it. Shoves. 6-3 got suited. We will fold to a raise. King deuce. We will fold to a raise. Queens under the gun +1. Yeah, like I said before, there's not enough in the pot already to shove all in and take it down without a confrontation. So we want to start building a pot, especially with a hand as strong as pocket queens. So we're going to raise to just over 2x. Maybe we get some action, but we don't. That's okay though. Fold 7-3. 5-7 in the big blind. We get a free flop. What do we got here? We have a gut shot, but we are certainly not deep enough to speculate when Easy Does It bets out for half the pot. If we were a lot deeper, if we had better implied odds, we may call here sometimes, but we don't have deep enough stacks. And Easy Does It certainly doesn't have a deep enough stack, combined with our shallow stack, to speculate. In a deeper stack tournament, you may call with the gut shot, but here it's the wrong play. And we can talk about the concept that makes it a wrong play, implied odds, at some other time. But here I'll just get through this and do better and brighter spots. Queen 9 offsuit in the small blind. I think this is a better shove than the 7s. Yeah, because the 7s is a much stronger hand. We kind of want a bit of action on it, but Queen 9, we're happy to steal what's in the middle with a weaker holding. 7-6 offsuit, we'll let it go. Ace Jack. Okay, this is a common mistake that some people make. Under the gun +1 with a 15 big blind stack raises for 2x. Now, she raises 7% of the time, which means that to raise here, she probably has a very strong hand. And if we remember, she raised 6 times the big blind earlier with pocket aces. Here, she's min raising, showing that she wants some action. When someone wants action, don't oblige them. Ace Jack offsuit is a fairly good hand, but not in this spot. If the situation was different, if Easy Does It was raising on the button and I was in the small blind, I think I'd go all in here. But Easy Does It is raising from very early position. I'm also in early position with all these people to act behind. Ace Jack offsuit is not a good enough hand to play here. Now, the big mistake that people make is recognizing that it's not a good enough hand to re-raise with and compromising by calling. Now, remember earlier when there was a raise and a re-raise and Easy Does It called and then check folded the flop because she missed? If I call here with ace jack, hoping to hit a good flop, miss, and then fold to her continuation bet, that's as bad a play. So I'm going to make the disciplined fold here, even though it hurts to do so. And my disciplined fold is rewarded by picking out pocket jacks the next hand. I think 13 big blinds is good enough for me to shove all in with, hoping that someone gives me some action. Anytime you're down the 10 to 12 to 13 big blind range, your actions are limited. You are either going to shove all in or fold. You're not going to raise because you're calling anyway if someone re-raises you behind. Why not put maximum pressure on, build as big a pot as possible pre-flop, hope that someone calls you with a lesser hand and that you win the race. Essentially, when you're down this short, you're going to have to gamble. So your best play is to shove all in and pick up what's in the middle already. If someone calls you, maybe you win the flip. Queen on offsuit, we will fold. 9-3 in the big blind, we get a free flop. It's surprising, again, that Spy Network limps the button when there's a 15 and a 12 big blind stack in the big blind, and he only has a 22 big blind stack. I don't understand why people don't take the aggression. And Spy Network is a fairly aggressive player, and yet he's limping the button here, screaming out weakness, weakness, weakness. Regardless, and to compound, wow, to compound problems, it's check to him on the button, ace queen 4 flop with 2 diamonds, and he doesn't take a stab at it. Either he has absolutely nothing, like deuce 3, no, that wouldn't even, that would be something, okay, like 8, 7 of clubs, and he just missed and he doesn't want to take a stab at it, or he's trapping with something enormous. Either way, he probably should take a bet and take the pot down, which he does not do on the turn, and he's going up. Easy does it. Takes a big stab. That's not a stab, that's a haymaker. She shoves all in for 4 times the pot. She bet 16.94. There's 4 or 550 chips in the pot. She goes all in. Spy Network, who did not bet the flop with the gut shot, did not bet the turn with the gut shot when check 2, gets the perfect river card. Easy does it, completes her 2 pair, and at the same time he makes Broadway. Wow, that is fortunate. So we see that he was limping the button fairly weak. 10 jack suited is a good hand to steal with, but it's not a premium hand. He just happened to back into a very pleasurable situation for him. And he wins a big pot and eliminates Easy Does It.